So, today we're celebrating Parents' Day, Lord Nrsimha Devi. So I thought I would begin by translating for you the song about Lord Nrsimha Devi, which Lord Chaitanya himself gave us, and which we sing. Vaishnavas since Lord Chaitanya's time, even before, have been singing the song. So the song begins, Namaste Narasimhaya, I bow to you, Nrsimha. Nrsimha or Narahari or Narasimha and so on. Nara in Sanskrit means man, then Nar is sort of an abbreviated form of the same word, meaning man. And Singha means lion, as in Singapore, Lion City. So, Nrsimha means literally, or Narasimha, Narahari, man-lion. So, as you know, this particular avatara, this particular appearance of God in this world, Krishna came as Nrsimha to save his young devotee, who was only at the time 5 years old. So the circumstances of this rescue operation, Krishna was the first responder to save his devotee. And the circumstances of this cosmic rescue are so dramatic that this story, this history, Lord Narahari, Lord Nrsimha saving Prahlad, has become the sort of emblematic story that that focuses the devotion, the attention of the devotees in that particular quality of the Lord, that He saves us, that He protects us, that God is our protector. So this story, perhaps more than all other stories of Krishna and His different avatars, this story has come to inspire devotees. And so it is the form of Lord Narasimha that is especially the form devotees pray to for protection against the evil and the danger of this world. So just to briefly recount the story, there was a, not even just world class, sort of cosmos class demon, Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, just as there was a James Bond film called Goldfinger, so this is Gold Cushion. Ultimate Bond movie, Gold Cushion. So, and he has his name Hiranya, gold, because he was a ruthless capitalist, sort of an Ayn Rand type figure. And Kashipu cushioned because he enjoyed himself in bed. And so Hiranyakashipu is a demon's demon, in the sense that when people want power in this world, they have to work for it. For example, let's say if you study the lives of great monsters like Hitler, and you see how hard he worked and how ruthlessly he worked to acquire power, performing all kinds of austerity. Him and other young Germans were out walking in the park. He was ruthlessly working and planning his program. So, or to make a lot of money, to get elected to political office. People work very, very, very hard. There's almost nothing as grueling in this world as a national political campaign. And so, so this equation that austerity, taking trouble, equals or translates into power is it's one of the universal laws of this world. For example, if someone wants to become a great athlete, tapasya, austerity. People don't become Olympic athletes by just, boozing it up all night, and, they're out there working hard, austerities, training. People that want to excel academically or let's say medical school or financially, in any area of life, it's just a rule of the world that if you want to really become powerful and excel and be better than anyone else through some kind of power, artistic, athletic, intellectual, financial, political, military, you have to really work hard for it. So that theme is, of course, one of the great themes of our literature, Mahabharata and the Bhagavatam, that when people want power, they do austerity. They perform austerity. And so those who are pious or those who love or try to love God, they perform austerities in the spirit of devotion. But the atheists, those who reject the idea and the reality of God, simply want the power itself. They want the power itself. And so, of all, you would say, atheists, of all bad guys in history, the one who took austerity in pursuit of power all the way, who really hit it out of the park, as they say, was Hiranyakashipu. Yoga, as a disciplined practice, is not always benevolent. It can be extremely malevolent. So, Hiranyakashipu performed great austerities, yoga, self-abnegation, self-denial, but all with the objective of getting power. And you want to talk about fasting. He fasted until he was literally not even skin and bones. The skin was gone too. It was just bones. But, and those who do yoga will appreciate that this is prana. Prana. Anyway, so the prana is a Sanskrit term meaning the life air, the vital air. And it comes to mean also life itself, or that your vital strength, and when it's gone, you're dead. So that vital air, that vital breath, prana. Even so, Hiranyakashipu, that's all he had left. He actually kept his prana, his life air, circulating in his skeleton. So this is, I guess, the origin of all great spooky skeleton movies where like on Halloween people dress as skeletons. He literally was a skeleton. He was this very gothic figure. And he had his prana circulating in his body. And that's all that's left. You can't be more austere than that. Because you can't, so he took it all away. And then Brahma came to him, the creator of the universe, not God, but the lead God, small g, in this world, and said, you've earned whatever boon you want. So he wanted to cash in all these super austerities for immortality. And Brahma said, sorry, I don't have anyone to tell you this, Hiranya. But in this world, no one is immortal, not even me. Even I have to die eventually. So Hiranyakashipu thought, no problem, let's do a workaround. And so, so he said, okay, grant me that I will never die day or night. And Brahma said, okay. Never die indoors or outdoors. Okay. So he had this whole checklist. And he thought, after all, Brahma, he's not a divine figure, he's just a cosmic bureaucrat. I could outsmart a bureaucrat any day. So he went through his checklist and thought, I won't be killed indoors or outdoors, night or day. I won't be killed by a human-like figure or animal. And Brahma agreed to all his demands, so he thought, woo-woo. For all practical, whatever people said back then, he thought for all practical purposes, I am immortal. So he also had so much power. He not only had all these boons, but he had extraordinary power. In fact, he was the most powerful figure in the universe, and he proceeded to enslave the universe. He proceeded to conquer it. So, again, in terms of austerity and power grabbing, he's a demon's demon. You can't, because again, austerity keeps his prana and his bones, gets power over the entire universe. He took it all away. And that's why this story is so interesting, because when you see what happens to Hiranyakashipu, if Hiranyakashipu couldn't do it, who are we? So, he conquers the universe, and he's married, he has a child, and naturally he wants to train his child up to be the next great bad guy, the next great demon, because Hiranyakashipu was convinced there's no God. I just proved it. I took over the universe. So he has this little boy. He wants Sonny to go into Dad's business, which is, cruelly enslaving the universe. But this little boy, Prahlad, actually, before he was born, had joined the Hare Krishna movement. Which, frankly, Hiranyakashipu believed was a dangerous cult. So, because when Prahlad was still in the womb of his mother, Narada came and preached to her, and of course he heard. He was very precocious. This is a celestial child. These are not ordinary earthly humans. And so Prahlad became a devoted servant of Krishna before he was born. This is the most precocious joining of the Hare Krishna movement in recorded history. So then he was born, and his father sent him to school, wanted him to have a good education, learn dirty politics and all those valuable things. And so Prahlad at school, he started a Bhakti Yoga club. right in Hiranyakashipu's demonic school. And during recess, or whenever the teacher was away, he was, preaching to his schoolmates that forget all this stuff they're teaching us. Let's talk about Krishna consciousness. So the teachers found out, they were just children, teachers found out that in this extremely secular school, that Prahlad was preaching. And so they informed the child's father, and his father was enraged because from Hiranyakashipu's point of view, Vishnu, or Krishna, is the enemy. Also, one detail, gold cushion, Hiranyakashipu had a brother called Gold Eye, Hiranyaksha. His eye was always on the gold. His version of the golden rule. Whoever has the gold makes the rule. So Hiranyakashipu's brother, Hiranyaksha, Gold Eye, or Gold Vision, also attacked the world, and Vishnu came as Varaha and killed him. This great cosmic battle. This is amazing. I mean, can you imagine, on the surface of your local planet, looking up in the sky and seeing these, because they were gigantic cosmic figures, Hiranyaksha and Varaha, and they're having this is like the supreme pay-per-view event. they're having this great battle. This is called mixed martial arts. And they're throwing weapons are like brilliant, like shooting stars. These flaming weapons are streaking across the sky, the night sky. It's just amazing. So they had this battle, and of course Vishnu won. And so Hiranyakashipu wanted revenge for his brother, so he had all kinds of motives. So he called his son in and said, who has brainwashed you, who taught you all this stuff about Krishna consciousness? And Prahlad tried to explain anyway, so Hiranyakashipu admonished the teachers, threatened them with, I guess, termination of job in life, and so sent them back. But Prahlad, of course, was a great devotee. So his father was so evil that he tried to kill his son for the sin of having joined the Hare Krishna movement. And becoming a devotee of Krishna, he wanted to kill his son. So he tried in every possible way, throwing him off a cliff, having him crushed by wild beasts, poisoning him, fire, everything. And Krishna kept protecting the boy, so the father could not kill his son. Finally, the father was so enraged that he asked, you all know the story, he asked the son, where do you get this power? And Prahlad gave him a philosophical answer and said, from the same place you get your power, from the same place, from the same source of all power, from Krishna, from God. So, from Goloka's point of view, wrong answer. So, then he just couldn't, that's all he could take. He flew into terrible rage, pulled out his sword. And these are cosmic swords. These are not like earthly swords. And he said, where is your God? I'll kill him. And Prahlad again gave him a serious theological answer and said, actually, Krishna's everywhere, God is everywhere. So then Hiranyakashipu says, he's in the pillar of this palace, I'll kill him. So then Prahlad said, yeah, actually, technically, he is also in that pillar. So then Hiranyakashipu struck the pillar, and there was a huge roar and explosion, and Krishna in this unimaginable avatar, half man, half lion, came bursting out of the pillar. And the Lord came in this form because Hiranyakashipu had asked not to be killed by a man or an animal or a god, so it was just this incredible, unimagined hybrid that, because Krishna was telling Hiranyakashipu, you thought you could rule the universe on technicalities. Well, now you're going to die on technicalities. And so the terrible fight ensued. Krishna gave everyone their money's worth. But at the end, like people are disappointed there's a major martial arts event and it ends too soon. Like, oh my God, in the first 20 seconds of the first round. I paid so much money for the seat. So Krishna literally kind of gave everyone their money's worth. And they had this great fight. And then finally, Krishna, Nrsimha grabbed Hiranyakashipu, and in the threshold of his palace, like because it's not inside or outside, and did a little invasive surgery. He ripped him apart, his body, and Nrsimha was roaring, and he was so ferocious that even the gods who were his servants were afraid to approach him. So they said to God, "You go talk to him. It came because of you." So Prahlad went there, and the Lord became immediately pacified to see his great loving child devotee. And the story ends very beautifully because Lord Nrsimha said to Prahlad, "I'll give you anything you want, any boon, any wish." And Prahlad said, "No, I'm good." Because Prahlad Maharaj was completely satisfied just by loving the Lord. But then Prahlad said, but if I must ask for something, then please liberate my father. So this happy ending, even Hiranyakashipu was liberated. So that's the basic story. And the song we sing, Namaste Narasimhaya, I bow to you, Narasimha. Prahlada Ahlada Daine. Hlada in Sanskrit that means pleasure, like Hladini Shakti. And so Prahlada Ahlada Daine. Daine means unto the giver, unto one who gave bliss who gave such spiritual bliss to Prahlad. Prahlad, it's sort of a play on words, because his name is Prahlad, which means one who has great joy. So Prahlada, Ahlada, Dayine. I bow to you who gave such spiritual pleasure to Prahlad. Hiranyakashipur Vaksha. Vaksha in Sanskrit means chest. So Hiranyakashipur Vaksha Shila. Shila means stone. And so what up till now many of you were thinking was the word Sheila, which is actually a girl's name, is actually Shila. Actually, Sheila in Sanskrit also means character. It does not mean stone. So Shalagram Sheila would mean, anyway. It's actually Shila. The word is Shila. And so it's the same word here. Hiranyakashipur Vaksha Shila. Hiranyakashipu's chest was stone. It was like stone. Like solid stone. Hiranyakashipur Vaksha Shila Tanka. But Tanka means a chisel. And Nakale, that means under Lord Nrsimhadev, whose nails shape, actually Nakale, from which you get Nakalaye. I think it's almost like this shell-shaped thing, this beautiful. So Lord Nrsimha's like mother of pearl. His nails were like this beautiful shell surface, beautiful, brilliant silver, and with those nails, he chiseled the chest, the stone chest of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipur Vaksha Shila Tanka Nakali. And then Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha. Here is Nrsimha, there is Nrsimha. Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha. Yato Yani. Wherever I go, Tato Nrsimha, there is Nrsimha. So obviously the emphasis in this song is on the absolute completeness of the protection given by Lord Nrsimhadev. You can say, whoops, I'm in danger here, but I think he's over there. No, it's wherever I go. Here is Nrsimha, there is Nrsimha. Wherever I go, there is Nrsimha. But here Nrsimha, outside is Nrsimha. Hridaye Nrsimha, in my heart is Nrsimha. So Nrsimha is in our own heart. And Nrsimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye, I surrender to the original shelter, the first shelter. In other words, whatever trouble we have, it's not like everything else fails. You can always pray to God. But what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita is, Tamaiva Sharanam Gacha. Go to him alone for shelter, to the Lord. Sarvabhavena, with all your existence. Sarvabhavena Bharata. So, Nrsimha is the first shelter. Nrsimha Adim Sharanam. Adi Sharanam, the first shelter. And the original shelter. And so I surrender to him. Nrsimha Adim Sharanam Prapadye. And then the next lines are, of course, from H.D.Goswami's famous Dashavatar Stotra, his song about the 10 famous avatars of Vishnu. And Tava means your, as tu in Spanish means you, the same thing, tuam in Sanskrit, you, so Tava, your, tua, in Portuguese, right? Tua casa. So tua, it's the same word, tua, tava, as in many Latin languages. So tava karda, the word karda here means hand, literally the doer, because the hand does everything. And so therefore the word karda, the Sanskrit verb to do or to make, literally doer, karda, comes to mean the hand. Interestingly, karda, because it means the hand, you see how all these meanings, one comes from the other. So from the word the doer, you get the word hand, and because it means hand, it also means taxes. You know, the government's hand in your pocket. So it's interesting because in the Bhagavatam, often they'll talk about the two sort of onerous duties of kings, is they have to collect taxes and punish criminals, and so that's called dandakara, the stick in the hand. So the danda, stick, means punishment. And kara, the hand, means taxes. By the way, this word kara comes from the Sanskrit root kar, create, from which we still have English words in the Sanskrit, like create. The English word create comes from that same Sanskrit root, to do or to make. So, tava kara kamala, vare, vara. Vara in Sanskrit means choice, like a boon, like in Sanskrit, whenever people, like God says, okay, I'll give you any wish, it's always a vara. As in, if you know the Damodar song, Varang Deva Moksham Mokshavrimva Nachanyam Verneham Varesha. So Krishna is called Varesha, Vara Isha, the Lord of boons, the Lord of wishes, the Lord of wishes. And so Vara, because it means choice, just like in English, the word choice becomes an adjective meaning excellent. Like a choice eggplant. And that's why you have words like Giri Vara, the choice mountain, in the sense of the excellent mountain, or in this case, Tava Kara Kamala Vare, your lotus hand, your excellent lotus hand. Tava Kara Kamala Vare. Nakam, so in your excellent lotus hand is Naka, a nail, which is Adbhuta, single, amazing, amazingly sharp. So, Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakama Bhuta Singam Dalita, and you ripped apart. Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam, his body, his wasp body. In other words, for a powerful man to rip apart the body of a wasp is not, it's not going to earn you an Olympic medal. A wasp are just like a little insect. And so for Lord Nrsimhadev, tearing apart Hiranyakashipu was like tearing apart a little insect, which is Bringa. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa, Tanu's body. And therefore Keshava, this is the vocative, it's addressing the Lord. Keshava, O Keshava, Drita. It's actually not Keshava Drita, it's Keshava, comma, Drita. Keshava, you assumed, you took on, Drita, Narahari Rupa, the man-lion form. Keshava Drita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha. Hare, glory to Jagadisha, the Lord of the universe. Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So Lord Nrsimha, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Pita Masya Jagato, I am the father of this world, Mata and the mother. So I was very fortunate to have good parents. I'm sure most of you were very fortunate to have good parents. And you grow up, you know there's nothing your mother or father wouldn't do for you. So guess what? I mean, Krishna is the supreme parent. So as much as you may love your child, imagine how much Krishna loves you. I mean, after all, you're not a better parent than he is. That would be a little pretentious to think I'm a better parent than God. So Krishna, he is offering himself to all of us. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he keeps asking us, please come to me. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to fix this for you. And we keep saying, thanks, Krishna. It's a really nice offer, and I'll get around to you eventually. After I've tried every silly thing in the world to do by myself. Because, after all, at any moment we can just fully surrender to Krishna. No one's stopping us. There's not a law again to fully surrender to Krishna. At any moment we can fully surrender to Krishna and become perfectly happy and see Krishna and be reinstated in our eternal life. So we still have, I mean, we're on the path, everyone here, I mean, we're all on the path, we're all making progress, and we'll get there. But actually, somehow or other, we have trust issues. Like, if I fully surrender to Krishna, will he really take care of me? Fully surrendering to Krishna, by the way, doesn't mean giving away everything you own, or giving up your family, giving up your job. It just means fully trusting Krishna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur emphasizes this, that Nama Shaya Kori Jatani Tumi Takala Apana Kaje, that we should strongly take shelter of Krishna's name, because Krishna's name is, well, in all ages. And he says, and stay in your own position, like your social position, your vocational position. It's not a question of external change, it's a question of internal change. And then Krishna. So no one has a good reason not to surrender to Krishna. Now, if we have some mistaken stereotype in our mind that surrender to Krishna means to give up this and give up that, and I can't give up these things, therefore I can't surrender to Krishna, that's actually a philosophical misunderstanding. Because as Krishna explains, not Krishna, in the Bhagavatam explains that akama sarvakama uva, whether you have no material desires, like all of us, right? No material desires. Glad you're all laughing. For all of us. So, to say that we have, so akama, no material desires, or sarva kama, or if you have all material desires. Now we can sort of raise our hands. So the Bhagavatam says whether you have no material desires or all material desires, or moksha kama, or if you simply desire your own salvation. Still, udaradi, if you are literally broad-minded, if you are broad-minded, if you see the big picture, then tivrena bhakti yogena, with intense, focused bhakti yoga, yajeta rushamparam, one should worship the Supreme Person. So what does this mean? I've explained this many times, but I find it fascinating still that the Bhagavatam is giving the exact same instruction to the highest and the lowest person. The person who has no material desires and the person who has every material desire. How can you give the same instruction to both people? This makes sense if, and only if, you understand what surrender to Krishna really means. Krishna is not a one-trick pony, as they say. Krishna has a lot of tricks up his. Does Krishna have a sleeve? That's another point that we can maybe Krishna West. Does Krishna have sleeves? But anyway, but apart from that, I'm kidding. The point is, Krishna, we don't know. Don't think that Krishna is so shallow that you already know what he's going to say. That if I surrender to Krishna, I already know what he's going to say. Because, he's a typical priest, predictable. So I already know what Krishna's going to say, and I can't do it, so I'm not even going to go there. But this is a complete misunderstanding of our philosophy. Krishna, and this is very good news, God actually has common sense. He not only has absolute power and wisdom, he also has common sense. And it's not at all in Krishna's interest, it's not his desire to bring to the spiritual world a large number of very sincere, very pious, very frustrated souls. So I'm just going to, no, I know it's not, I'm just going to give that up. The point is, if you surrender to Krishna, what's he going to do with you? First of all, if you surrender to Krishna, it's not like you lose your freedom, because it's like chapatis and rice. You offer it to Krishna, you still get to eat it, but it's sanctified. And then, as I always say, in the history of the Hare Krishna, there's not a single recorded instance where someone offered food to Krishna, and then Krishna actually took it off the altar, and the devotee starved. I'm not wrong. I see it's every soul for himself. That actually never happened. There have been millions and millions and millions of offerings in recorded history, and Krishna actually always gave the food back. So when you give yourself to Krishna, what does he do? He actually gives you back to yourself. He actually gives you back to yourself, but he gives you back to yourself in a new, improved version. It's like you 2.0. And what Krishna is going to do, to surrender to Krishna simply means that you have the simple faith that Krishna is smarter than you. So if you think you're smarter than Krishna, don't do this. But if you understand that Krishna is actually smarter than us, then I give my life to Krishna. Krishna is going, as Prabhupada explains in his purport to the invocation of the Upanishad, Krishna will create, has already created, a perfect plan for you. Krishna knows all about us. I mean, he knows us much better than we know ourselves. And Krishna creates for every one of us a perfect program so that you go through life, you do not die of frustration and heartache and lost opportunities because I was just too pious for my own good. That's not going to happen. when you surrender to Krishna, he's actually going to fulfill your material needs better than you could. That's the irony. When you don't surrender to Krishna, you lose everything. Materially and spiritually, you come out much worse. And when we surrender to Krishna, he will find a way, satisfy your material fantasies and needs in a way that does not degrade you, and at no extra cost to you, you go back to Godhead. Now that's a deal. But wait, call now. So, therefore, surrender to Krishna means, and it only means, that you trust Krishna to manage your life. That you believe that he actually knows what he's doing. He's not going to accidentally drop you like, whoops. Sorry about that, my dear spiritual. Or like some kind of out of control, inexperienced personal trainer. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you just broke your back on that machine. I didn't you can handle that much weight. Gee. Krishna is the supreme personality of personal trainer. And he knows what he's doing. He knows what our needs are. He knows what our attachments are. He has to live with all that nonsense, day and night. And so if you surrender to Krishna, he's going to come up with the best possible program for you. And at the end of it, you'll be materially satisfied and spiritually enlightened. Therefore, there's no good reason not to surrender to Krishna. And there are dangers in this world. Sometimes we think that because a real devotee never asks Krishna for any material thing, even if like some horrible monsters in front of us or something, it's like, I'm not going to ask Krishna to help me here. Oh my God, there really are transformers in the world. So, how do you all know what transformers are? It's a Carney movie. So the idea is that even in Vrindavan, where you have these great devotees, they're Krishna's pure devotees. And yet, some events are so horrific, they just shock the nervous system. It's like if some big person pushes you and then someone else says, if you were a sincere devotee, you wouldn't fall. Wait a second. It's just the laws of nature. And so there are certain things that happen in life that just shock the nervous system. And therefore, when there was a forest fire in Vrindavan, when all these big demons came, the residents would cry out to Krishna. So there's a difference between, let's say, having serious, permanent, material goals in your life, like I'm pursuing sense gratification systematically. That's one thing. We don't do that. It's another thing, although we dovetail it. We want to be successful for Krishna. But just pursuing a material object as a material object, not for Krishna, we don't do that. But in a situation that's so frightening, you just cry out to Krishna, save me. That's natural. That's completely natural. It would be unnatural and bizarre not to do that. And we see that behavior even in Krishna's greatest devotees, who cried out to him at moments like that. So Krishna really is our protector, and we have to develop this trust. Interestingly, the word for often translated faith in the Gita or the Bhagavatam, Shraddha, literally means not just to believe that God exists, but to really trust him, to trust Krishna. So surrender just means trusting Krishna. You may surrender to Krishna, and he may decide to make you rich. He may decide to give you this or take that. You don't know. Krishna is not a sort of the shallow, predictable, sincere, but unrealistic deity. Krishna is really very bright. He's got very high SAT scores. So, Krishna is very bright. He actually knows what he's doing. So we just put ourselves in his hands and live our life in that way. This is Krishna consciousness, in a nutshell. So, and all glory is Lord Nrsimhadev, our protector. Oh, what time is it? We
can take a few questions.
Any questions? You move right on to the donations.
I'm sure I will be chastised for my impudence.
Oh my God.
This is not a question, this is a correction. That you said in the history of the world, there is no incidents where Krishna has eaten the offering.
No, I said where he took it away.
Well, there's a Brahmin and
oh, very good point. Yes, very good point. The Brahmin where Lord Chaitanya is in his pastime. Yes, very good point. The Brahmin cooked for the, that's because he didn't understand that. Actually, okay, I'm going to try to mental out of this. My mother said I should have. So, because actually, this Brahmin who cooked rice for Lord Chaitanya, for offering it to Vishnu, and then Lord Chaitanya said, hey, thanks, and then he took it. He actually took a bite of it, and the Brahmin thought that an ordinary human polluted the offering because this person enjoyed it before God. She cooked again. Unfortunately, when I first read that, I wasn't an experienced cook, and I thought, oh my God, I must have been up all night. Then I realized you can actually cook rice in 13 minutes. So he kept cooking again. And so in this case, he actually didn't offer it to the Lord because he didn't understand the Lord. He didn't understand who the Lord was. And so therefore, Lord Chaitanya ate it to get him to actually offer to the Lord. And then once he did that, he got to eat it. So it's a jai win-win. Yes?
Maharaj, I think there's another instance.
Oh my God. Where's Dr.
Shortly after,
yes.
Shortly after Lord Chaitanya's appearance, or disappearance, I'm not sure the exact time, there was a Brahmin who had a young son who later became a famous author. And the Brahmin went away on business, and he told his son, who at that time I think was 4 or 5 years old, you just take care of the deities, make sure you feed them. Make sure you feed Krishna. And then the Brahmin left. The boy dutifully fed Lord Krishna, who stepped off the altar and ate what was offered to him. And the Brahmin came back and said, you fed Krishna, right? He said, yes. So where's the Mahaprasadam? He said, there isn't any Mahaprasadam. Why not? Krishna ate it. No way! Krishna doesn't do that. And then the boy somehow convinced his father that this is really what happened.
Yes, yes. Well, I will never say it, never in recorded history. But I'm sure there's a happy ending, and neither the father nor the son starved, so. Thank you for those stories. Rarely in recorded history. And never did it happen that a Vaishnava actually starved to death because he offered, so. So, anything else? Yes.
Christians like to be really arrogant about being God-fearing. So I was wondering if that has something to do with Lord Trinidad, if they somehow knew about him and then they brag about how they're good Christians because they fear God.
Fight terror with terror. Well, there are many Christians, I think, who are not arrogant. I think in every religion there's some people who are arrogant.
Okay, I'm talking about Baptists.
Name names.
Actually, Tulsi. Where's Tulsi? I remember you had so many stories. You used to work RDU, where you run the Baptists and ministers, and they take books, isn't it?
Oh, Dr. Braswell.
No.
Dr. Braswell, he used to bring his class out here all the time. He was in Wake Forest, and now he's at Campbell University. And
Now he's working.
Campbell University. He's at Campbell University, and he would come and bring his class here. We would have, dialogues with him, and then they invite us once a year to come for a lunch, an interfaith lunch.
Yeah, I would say in general that anyone in any religion religion that doesn't respect other people or thinks that no one else has anything to do with God is an illusion. So it could be anyone, any religion. To think that way is it's not practical. So, no other questions? Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.